What does the future of movies look like? Let's discuss this in a new feature here at the Movie Preview Critic called Film Theory. What's up, movie world? Let's theorize. USC recently opened a new building of cinematic arts. On hand to speak were George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. During the discussion, Spielberg foretold that there's an impending implosion waiting for Hollywood. Seems kind of dramatic, but when Spielberg talks, we should listen. So let's explore. What could possibly cause this? His theory is that since blockbusters cost so much money to make, there's a real risk that if a number of these fail at the same time, it could trigger a film industry meltdown similar to that of the 2008 financial crisis. John Carter cost $200 million to make, and in 2012, it absolutely flopped. This year, After Earth and The Lone Ranger have been the big box office failures. Add to that RIPD's underperforming $32 million at the box office, and that's the third flop of the year. Pacific Rim was about to join that list, but it recently had a record opening in China, so it looks like there's a sequel on the way. If any more films flop this year, we're kind of getting close to what Spielberg's talking about. So let's say it happens. What's the big deal? What's the worst that can occur? Well, first, Hollywood's going to scale down on its production. It's not going to make as many movies. Second, it's definitely not going to make any small, risky, original, unheard of ideas. This is where we get our Oscar contenders, or those movies that we discover and love for the rest of our lives. Those passion projects are funded by the big blockbuster box office success. You need an avatar in order to have a Hurt Locker. If you've been watching trailers on iTunes, you'll notice that Apple posts a lot of different movies on their trailer page, but only a few of those make it to the big screen. However, when you check out your on-demand menu or your Netflix catalog, you'll notice a lot of those films are already available there. Add to that IMAX and 3D are now becoming a huge part of the box office bottom line. What are the chances that any of us want to see the King's Speech in 3D on IMAX? That pretty much doesn't exist. So why should Hollywood keep releasing these kind of films if they're not going to get the maximum return? George Lucas notes that the pathway to getting these passionate independent films into theaters is shrinking smaller and smaller. Lucas sees a future where ticket prices to go to the movie theater are going to be $50 per movie. It's going to be more of an event, and much like Broadway, movies will play for a longer period of time on the big screen. So, movie world, what do you think about that potential movie future? A future where the chance to experience and discover a Pulp Fiction, a Taxi Driver, or a Children of Men will be non-existent at the theater. Where movies like that inspire us and capture our imagination are confined to our living room. Are we going to return to the movie palaces of the 1920s? There will be less screens, less screenings, less movies. If that's going to be the case, what kind of projects make it through this small conduit to the theaters? We can look to TV shows and comic books for the answer. The future of the big screen has already been determined by the small screen. Movies are going to be made in much the same way that Peter Jackson made the Lord of the Rings trilogy or The Hobbit, at the same time, all at once, and they'll be released either every year or every other year to maximize interest and profit potential. It's kind of like what Netflix did with Arrested Development Season 4 and House of Cards, that Kevin Spacey show that everyone says they watched but probably didn't. All the episodes were made together, filmed like one huge movie. So for future Hollywood, movies are going to be made like seasons of a TV show. What if Marvel, while Robert Downey Jr. is still young enough to play Tony Stark, filmed 3 or 4 Iron Man movies back to back and released them over the course of 8 years? Or what if they made all the Spider-Mans, Captain Americas, and Supermans consecutively? As if we need any more proof of this impending future, as of this recording, Avatar Part 4 has been greenlit. Is there any doubt that this is on the horizon? The future is going to be sequels, reboots, and remakes. And instead of calling them sequels, let's call them chapters, because now we're going to have huge cinematic books that we don't read, but watch over the course of a number of years. And good news for Hollywood. Once they're over, they'll just wait a little while, I mean a real little while, and reboot them. Remakes, of course, will still be around because they're familiar properties and they always make money, which is what it comes down to, and the reason this is all happening. Hollywood has finally cracked the code. They figured out the ultimate secret: guaranteed box office. I've been making reviews for a little while now, and there's been one movie truth that I faced a number of times that I didn't want to believe, but it kept proving itself over and over and over again. And it goes like this. No matter what anyone says, what the critics argue, what can be proven, what's just opinion. No matter the feedback, good or bad, Man of Steel, The Dark Knight Rises, Prometheus, the movie truth is that there is no way that we, the audience, are not going to go to the theater to see these films. Even if I had irrefutable proof that could hold up in a court of law that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or X-Men Days of Future Past were going to be absolutely horrendous, if I had scenes from the movie that's going to be released in theaters to show you right now that proved that these were Ed Wood quality films, if we could read the shooting script, if we had the directors telling us about the mediocrity of their efforts in these movies, it wouldn't make a difference to us. We wouldn't care. Why? Curiosity. Because we as humans have to know. It's the reason we watched the last season of Lost. We have to know, and we have to experience it for ourselves. And since one person's treasure is another person's garbage, and vice versa, comic book, Harry Potter, Hunger Game adaptations are always going to be profitable. And Hollywood's figured out the secret of nerd culture, which has become pop culture. We like our comic books in mint condition, we like our storylines to have continuity and be respected, and we want to see all of our childhood heroes finally realized on the big screen, even if it is kind of crappy. As a longtime comic book reader and a fan of all things geek, there's really nothing wrong with all this, as long as story quality is maintained. And by writing and filming these stories as one huge movie, and giving us basically a TV season of this on the big screen, if done right, it can allow for character development, interesting journeys, and emotional resolution. This can really be a golden age for film on the big screen, if Hollywood gives a The danger is that since for the first time in history, box office is guaranteed, there's a chance the effort of making these stories is going to be phoned in. This is why communism failed. No incentive to work harder because it doesn't equal more money. Sound crazy? Then why did Transformers Revenge of the Fallen make more money than the first film? And why did Dark of the Moon, after Revenge of the Fallen had been critically destroyed, still make $1 billion? Because all humans have hope. We always tend to say these words: the next time will be better. There's a saying that goes, once, shame on you. Twice, shame on me. And if we're talking about our experience with Hollywood, it's 3 times, and you really wouldn't do it a 4th time, right? I mean, come on. No matter how disappointing Iron Man 2 was, we kept telling ourselves Part 3 is gonna be better. And now, after being pretty happy with what Part 3 turned out to be, we're telling ourselves Part 4 is going to totally rock. And of course, we're going to see all the Marvel movies because there's that after credits cliffhanger which ties into the Avengers 2, which Joss Whedon, of course, is going to make amazingly awesome. Hollywood is really working it, inspired by Marvel taking a page out of their comics, which would be that comics keep you hooked with a month-to-month or bi-weekly cliffhanger, much the same way TV shows worked. Cliffhangers week to week, so we stay through the entire season. There's no way out of this. Hollywood knows it. We're gonna go see these movies. If this all actually sounds kind of familiar, it's because it's not really the movie future. It's the movie now. How does that make you feel, movie world? What do you think about it? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Also, if there's anything you want to see discussed on film theory, please leave your suggestions in the comments section. I do have a couple videos already planned. As a part 2 to this video, I'm going to discuss why small films are important and what it means to us, the audience, for them to be missing from the big screen. And in the 3rd video, which will be a part 3 to this one, I'm going to explore the commercial and artistic sides of the movie Force and what happens when they're out of balance. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, we get more of what we pay for. So if we don't want let's not pay for You know, I guess that tagline, phrase, closing out thought really doesn't apply anymore because we got what we paid for. We're getting what we wanted. There really isn't any choice anymore. As discussed, Hollywood has got us by the movie. I'm gonna have to think of a new sign-off catchphrase. If you have any suggestions, they're welcome in the comments section. Until next time, let's go with the classic. Long live good movies.